No doubt the best Star Wars TV series ever. What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here to give you guys a full review on my thoughts to Season 1 of Star Wars The Mandalorian. Since I didn't really do too many of the episodes, I decided why not just do a review of the episode, and then I'm going to give you guys theories going into Season 2 with what happened at the ending. But first off, Star Wars The Mandalorian, boy did I love this. It was really the first ever live action TV series of Star Wars they ever did. And I look at it and it was just unbelievable. It was almost like the movie, it's just pretty much like the movies they were itself. Just on TV series, but even still, it kind of felt like watching a movie, no less. But at the same time, when the episodes ended, you remember it's an episode, but as soon as they're on, it just really feels like that. It feels like a movie, especially when you binge watch it all. That's what even makes it feel more like a movie. But what I really did enjoy about this TV series was how they structured their episodes, and they took their time with it. They didn't make this into a hurry or anything. Kind of like with the Disney trilogy. It was still a good trilogy. I'm not saying it was bad. It was actually a really good trilogy. I'm just saying the people behind the writing and the directions and stuff, they didn't have it well structured. Whereas Star Wars Mandalorian had it structured very well. And the way they had it structured is you had 4 episodes that were more meaningful than the others, while you had 4 other episodes that looked like just standalones. Like there wasn't really too much to them. Like they were kind of filler episodes. But in reality, they held more importance than you really thought. You just didn't know it until it came to the 2-part season finale with episode 7 and episode 8. Basically, like the adventure that the Mandalorian went on was all meaningful to touch on the season finale, where in the end he ended up going back to some of the people he met on his journey through the standalone episodes to come and help him with his enemies at the finale. And what also was so crazy about the finale was Moff Gideon, who was revealed to be the main antagonist. And this is where things were interesting, because during that whole time, during this season, even though there wasn't necessarily a main antagonist, so to speak, it didn't take away from the adventures we were seeing with Mandalorian, as all those different individual episodes had their different sorts of themes and structures to it. And then coming into it, that he finally meet his main antagonist, since he's the protagonist, Mando. And yeah, Moff Gideon, his entrance was unreal, and the presence he gives off as the villain was no doubt amazing. And what I loved most about it is the fact that he is not dead, which made sense. We just get him in episode 7, and then you weren't gonna kill him off in episode 8. Wouldn't have made sense. So I'm glad they did that. I am glad he's still alive and that he will be the main villain going forward into season 2. But now going into Mando himself, whose real name is Din Djarin. I hope I said his last name right there, because I'm still probably going to call him Mando until I get used to saying his full name there. I like the actor who played him, showing this side of him compared to what you might think when you probably were thinking, when we all saw this going forward, when it was coming out, we were thinking, would it be Boba Fett who's the main character in this series? But no, it's not him. Yet I'm hoping maybe we might get Boba Fett somewhere down the line, because I think it'd be really cool to see those two interact. But going back into Din, we didn't find out first about his name until at the last episode. But yeah, the guy's history was definitely one you can feel for the guy. And the thing is, we didn't really need to get the full flashback that we got in episode 8. It was pretty much the flashbacks we were shown right off the bat already made us know enough to know that yes, his parents died sometime during the Clone Wars thanks to the Trade Federation, and he was rescued by the Mandalorians. And from the looks of it, it looks like it were Death Watch people. If you guys don't know who those are, they were pretty much warriors who opposed the pacifist ways of Mandalorians during the Clone War times that were ruled over by the Duchess Santine. and they were ruled by a guy named Sati. I mean, Vistal, who wielded the dark saber and wanted his race to go back to their warrior ways. Learning about him as a Mandalorian, did we learn about a purge? There was a great purge for his race, just like the Jedi, showing that the Jedi and the Mandalorians are starting to have more in common than what they probably know about or will ever admit to. But that's still not to say they haven't all joined forces in hands. But even still, though, all to see this guy, his journey from showing some of his past to who he is becoming with Baby Yoda was definitely something to see. And to finally actually see him get his jetpack at that ending was showing something else. But what I think will really show was how he is now has his own house clan. If you guys don't know what that is, Mandalorians all have a clan, a house of clans, Mandalorian clans. The bigger the name and more reputation they have, the more people in their Mandalorians will respect that clan. And right now, his clan is divided of him and Baby Yoda. And speaking of Baby Yoda, let's just go ahead and get right into this kid. I mean, let's face it, when we first learned of him, it just surprised everybody because they were doing a tight thing to make sure we didn't know about that kid. Even though it's a baby, it's still able to use the Force to some extent, how it was able to help him with the Mudhorn, which is the crest for him, for Baby Yoda and Mando as the family crest for him. And not only that, how he used the force to stop that fire was also something else to see. But what I'm really interested seeing going forward for these two is that here's the thing. Mando was a family, which is terms used by Mandalorians when they find a kid who has no parents, no one to really go to, and then they end up becoming part of the Mandalorian culture because they're being taught to it by them. And that's basically what Baby Yoda is. He is Mando's foundling, and right now he's going on a journey at the end of season 2 to journey to give him back to his kind, which will be a very interesting thing going into season 2. Because as we know, that's what it is for Mando and Baby Yoda. Mando is going to journey around the galaxy to find his kind and return them to his kind. That's if the Baby Yoda doesn't become of age, because when he becomes of age, that's when Mando can train him, or before becoming of age. And this is where I would like to think, and I'm sure some of y'all have been thinking it in your minds too here. What if this Baby Yoda ended up becoming both a Jedi and a Mandalorian, like wearing Mandalorian armor? Come on, guys, can you imagine that? I'm pretty sure we can all try to imagine that, and I'm pretty sure I don't think any of us would be objected to the fact that we can get that. If we got that, it would be so insane. But also in the fact that we'll also get to see more of this father-son relationship develop between those two, and wonder, will this establish more for their clan? Imagine, even if it's just those two, the adventures they're going to go on and the reputation they might get going forward will be insane. But I've rambled on enough about those guys. Why don't we go back to Moff Gideon, who, as I said, was alive, but he ended up having that dark saber to reveal at the end, showing he is now in possession of that dark saber, which is insane because that dark saber was made by a Mandalorian, probably the only Mandalorian to ever become a Jedi, which is also going back to what I'm saying about Baby Yoda being a reverse of that guy and being a Mandalorian instead. That dark saber, yeah, it was made by that Mandalorian who was part of the Jedi Order, and then eventually Jedi took it back to the temple, but Mandalorians got it back. And ever since then, it's been passed down to people, but its main purpose is to be used as a symbol to the person who wields it, who can unite and lead the people of Mandalorian. And yet now, no doubt because of when the Empire took over Mandalore, that Moff Gideon now has it. I'm sure we might get a little flashback story as to how he gained it. But I think this will all conclude going into season 2, where in the end, Mando and him will have a one-on-one fight, and it'll be Mando to win and end up taking that saber, and it will belong to him. That will be something. But what I definitely will like about it is, what if in the end he also Mando trains Baby Yoda for that saber? That I don't know, but all I know is if he gets that dark saber with him, next thing you know, maybe train it with Baby Yoda. They could definitely be a team to be reckoned with. They could really make their reputations as their two-man clans go forward. But while now we're on it, though, let's go into other main characters that are no doubt going to play a thing in season 2 besides those three I just mentioned. And that's Cara, the shock trooper that Mando met back in episode 4, but came to help him back out in episode 7 and 8. Now, first off, I love the woman who plays her. She does an amazing job. I just pretty much have fallen in love with that woman. She is cool. She is awesome. And I am glad she's going to be sticking around. But as y'all saw at the end, she went to Navarro and helped out Mando and stopping and finishing off these Imperials so they could set the kid free of being on the run from people who are after him. But at the end, she also ended up now becoming a bounty hunter, or more of an enforcer, because she said she is now joining the Bounty Hunter Guild that is owned by the guild that Mando was a part of but left, but at the end came back to, all thanks to the guy who was in charge of it. What was his name? Grieger or something? I forgot, but you guys know who I'm talking about at least. He ended up inviting Cara to be a part of the guild, which she accepted. And no doubt knowing those three, who I now know are officially the trio of the TV series for Star Wars Mandalorian, they'll all come back to work together and stuff. But I gotta wonder, what is Cara's reputation as a bounty hunter gonna be? Because no doubt, probably when she and Mando meet again, her reputation as a bounty hunter might play into something going forward. And what will this also be for the bounty hunter leader? I don't know, but one thing's for certain, they'll all have a common thing. They want to protect the Baby Yoda, so you know they'll all have their own sort of thing going forward and helping that kid. In some ways, I guess you could say that's Baby Yoda's family, those three. That's just me speculating, though. But hey, let's now also talk about what. Oh yes, you guys know Ming Wei. She was in episode 5 and one of those standalone episodes. If you guys remember, after she was shot by that bounty hunter kid who wanted to be part of the guild, someone showed up to her dead corpse. Now, I'm thinking that was Moff Gideon, but what if it isn't? What if it was someone else? Now, as y'all know of Boba Fett, we last knew of him back on Tatooine, but he is able to go off Tatooine. But what if he was there during Tatooine? What if that was probably him, Boba Fett, and he's going to probably resurrect that woman, and they're probably going to end up being adversaries for Mando going forward? One thing I really don't know, because all I keep saying this is because, well, if we're dealing with Mandalorians, and even if Boba Fett isn't a Mandalorian, he still has that armor. I still think it's necessary that he comes back and somehow gets into an adversary. I mean, more like crossing paths with Mando, so those two can battle out or work together. I don't know. All I just know is I would really love to see it. And hey, what if there's a possibility we could see people like Lando or some of the resistance or rebellions or people in the New Republic later on down the line? Because no doubt he probably is going to run into him, since he's trying to find information going into season 2. Mando, season 2, he's trying to find information about Baby Yoda's species. Well, guys, there's just so much you could think about going forward for this that it's just hard to really put it all into words. But one thing's for certain, how it was all structured with all these guest stars and everything makes you really want to see more of it already. Now, first off, we know it's coming in fall of 2020, so we gotta wait pretty much to the close to the end of this upcoming year for season 2. But when we do, I'm sure it'll be worth it. And well, there are other characters I would like to talk about, but I think I've gone on enough. I'm really just talking about things moving forward into season 2, and I think I pretty much said all I needed to say. But until then, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it all at that. And hey, if you're enjoying my videos, all you gotta do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. And until then, Mega Geek Mixer signing out. Bye!